joined on stage. Thanks again to all the folks that have come through. You're the Camden County Collector, Camden County Clerk, Associate Circuit Judge, Camden County Presiding Commissioner, the 155th District we just rolled up with. And now we are on to the 4th District, U.S. House of Representative candidates. We have on stage with us this evening Mrs. Vicki Hartzler. She's the Republican candidate for the seat. Greg Cowan, the Constitution Party candidate for the seat. And there was really no names drawn here. We had 4 candidates set for this, so no names drawn. So I'll actually give the option to Mrs. Hartzler here on first to tell us a little bit about herself, her background, and why she feels she's qualified for the office of the 4th District U.S. House of Representatives. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, everyone. I am honored to get to run for this position of to represent you and your values in Washington, D.C. Basically, I am just one of you. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, lifelong farmer, a small business owner, a school teacher, a former state representative, and basically a person that cares about our country and is concerned about the direction that the liberal leadership in Washington, D.C. is taking us. And we're also concerned that our current representative is taking our vote and squandering it by giving it to Nancy Pelosi for Speaker and then casting it for her for 95% of the time. And we are not Nancy Pelosi here in mid-Missouri. We deserve better representation than we're getting right now with a government that is pursuing a very liberal agenda that's bankrupting our country and mortgaging our children's future. We need jobs. My husband and I own a small business. We know how to create jobs. Everything they're doing in Washington, D.C. is killing jobs, from the health care bill to the cabinet tax bill that Ike Skelton supported, to all the onerous government regulations. And so I think my business background, my practical farm experience, being a teacher, and being just an ordinary person out here living with the laws in the 4th Congressional District gives me the unique perspective of someone who understands our concerns and is going to fight for it and to take back our country. So thank you for allowing me to be here tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. And we'll jump now to Mr. Cowan, the Constitution Party candidate for the 4th District seat for the U.S. House of Representatives. Sir, tell us a little about your background and why you feel you're qualified for the office of the 4th District of the United States.
Thank you, sir. I was born and raised in Missouri. I'm married with 1 son. I lived near Lebanon. In 1981, I enlisted in the Navy as an E1. In 2004, I retired as a lieutenant commander. I served aboard 4 ships, came up through the ranks, and I know how to get things done. There's nothing in Congress that is any more difficult to do than what we do in our daily lives out here. Now, the professional politicians want us to believe that a person must be a lawyer or wealthy or from a certain family or a political insider to be qualified for the office. Simply not true. There are only 3 constitutional requirements: 25 years of age, 7 years a U.S. citizen, and a resident of the state. I think anybody in the room meets those qualifications.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mr. Cowan again. We're talking about the 4th Congressional District seat here. There's several questions we can go with. The one we'll start with, Mr. Cowan, with you is, in your opinion, what should be the role of the federal government?
The role of the federal government, as our Declaration of Independence states, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That is the proper role of government. Left unchecked, government becomes large and unresponsive to the people, as our government has become. Our Constitution places limits on our government. We must restore our government to its constitutional roots.
Thank you very much, sir, for your response. Same question to you, Mrs. Hartzler. In your opinion, what should be the role of the federal government?
Well, the role of the federal government is to do for the people what they can't do for themselves, and that's very, very limited in nature. Certainly provide for the common defense is a role of the federal government. You and I can't wage war against another nation, but as a group we can do that. Certain infrastructure makes sense. But the Constitution allows that most of the powers are vested in the states, and that's where most of the powers should be, at the local level. And our federal government has grown far too large, and it is usurping the power and taking over areas of our lives, and it shouldn't be. And so we need to reverse that and give the power back to the people and limit the size of our government.
Thank you, Mrs. Harsler. Same different question to you now. I'll keep going in this order. What are your top 3 priorities when you assume office, and why?
Well, I think first and foremost, we've got to get jobs back, and we've got to get government off the backs of people. And the way we get jobs is to reduce the tax burden on business owners, and we need to get the government regulations out of the way and quit putting forth these owners' provisions, whether it's the health care provision or whether it is the cap and tax that's going to increase the energy costs for business owners. We've got, or the tax increases that are going to go into effect January 1, that Ike Skelton was the deciding vote to adjourn a couple of weeks ago, leaving those tax increases in place. So we've got to get jobs back. Number 2, we've got to rein in the runaway federal spending. We cannot keep going down this path that we are going, or we are going to be bankrupt as a country. It's unsustainable. And the third thing, I'm very much supportive of repealing the President's health care initiative, Obamacare, and replacing it with common sense reforms that are going to reduce costs. So people ask me, what's your to-do list? What do you want to do in Washington? And basically I tell them I don't have a to-do list, I have an undo list. And I think that's what we need to do.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Same question then to you, Mr. Cowan, the Constitution Party candidate for the 4th District seat here. What are your 3 priorities if and when you assume office, and why?
Top 3 priorities would be jobs, the debt, and illegal immigration. We must repeal or modify the trade policy that has caused the loss of thousands of jobs here in the 4th District and across the United States. The 4th District has lost more than 50,000 jobs since the passage of NAFTA. We must pass constitutional import tariffs. We must cut corporate taxes. We must cut individual tax rates. We must repeal or amend the health care bill. And we must create a stable environment for business. On the debt, we need to eliminate unconstitutional departments and programs. One example would be we must eliminate the position of czar in the executive branch. There are no czars, czarinas, kings, or queens in this country. Example number 2, let's cut foreign aid before we cut any domestic program. And on immigration, we must secure our borders with the U.S. military. Our unsecured borders are an economic and a national security crisis. Professional politicians for the last 40 years have failed to do that, longer than that. More than my lifetime have failed to do that. Their solution are photo ops along the border or amnesty in one form or another. We must do better than that.
Thank you, Mr. Cowan. Next question goes to you again, sir. We'll keep going. What is your, we'll take this one. Should the Bush tax cuts that expired at the end of this year be extended for all taxpayers? Your take on that?
Yes, they should be extended permanently. We should work to cut all taxes permanently. This will help to create a stable business environment, and that's what we need in this country, a stable business environment. We should work to completely repeal the federal income tax, the 16th Amendment. We should use the protections provided in our Constitution to protect domestic industries and improve the business environment. Let's put America to work before we worry about putting any other country to work. As President Calvin Coolidge said, the business of America is business, so let's get to work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cowan. Same question to you, Mrs. Hartzler, running for the 4th Congressional District seat here, the Republican candidate. Should the Bush tax cuts that expire at the end of this year be extended for all taxpayers?
Absolutely. Now, in this time of economic recession, is not the time to raise taxes on anybody. We need to keep tax burden low, and in fact, I'm for reducing taxes even further on all of us so that we have more money to spend, and I think that will be the start of helping to turn the economy around, is allowing thus the citizens to keep more of their own money.
Understandable. And I guess in the time constraints that we do have, we'll now jump to our closing remarks. You'll each have 2 minutes to fill if you choose so. The closing remarks, we'll start with you, Mrs. Hartzler, the Republican candidate for the 4th District U.S. House of Representatives seat. Mrs. Hartzler, why do you feel you are the best candidate for this office?
Well, I'm glad to be here tonight, and I appreciate Greg Cowan being here, and I'm just sorry that our current representative, Ike Skelton, didn't find the time to come meet with the voters. He has dodged the voters and dodged the people that he works for over a year now, and been not willing to meet with us or answer your questions, and I think that's a sad statement on his representation, as well as his taking our vote and squandering it for every runaway spending bill, every government bailout, every government takeover, a budget, a $3.1 trillion budget with a third of it deficit spending, voting for cap and tax, and being the deciding vote to adjourn without a budget, and these tax increases in place. That is not us. We deserve better. And this election is such a unique opportunity we have here in the 4th Congressional District to not only stand up, and I believe, I tell people we are fed up and we're fired up here in the 4th District, and we're going to stand up next Tuesday and say we deserve better representation than we're getting now, but also for us here to impact the future course of our country. Our country is going down the wrong path with the current leadership in place, and it's going to take us off the edge of the cliff if we don't stop it this year. And I believe we have a window of opportunity this election where we as conservatives and common sense people with heartland values can stand up and say, we're going to stop this train wreck, and we're going to put our country back on the right track. And as next week, we have the opportunity to be one of 40 districts to switch leadership so that we can remove Nancy Pelosi from power and we can get us back on the right track. I would be honored to work for you and with you, and I ask for your support and your vote next Tuesday. Thank you.
Speaking Arsenal, she's running for the 4th Congressional District seat. She's a Republican candidate. And now we go to Mr. Greg Cowan. He's the Constitution Party candidate. Sir, your closing remarks. Why do you feel you are the best candidate for the office of the 4th District of Missouri?
Thank you. I feel I'm closer to the people than any other candidate. I'm not a professional politician or a political insider who has served in one capacity or another for several years. I ask the voters to take a look at what our country is today and compare that to what it was 30 or 40 years ago. For example, when Ike Skelton was elected in 1976, we had a recession, an energy crisis, and we had just left Vietnam. Today, we have a recession, an energy crisis, and 2 wars. We haven't made much progress with electing professional politicians. So let's make a difference. Please do not let the Democrat and Republican politicians split the vote again. We cannot afford the same results again. I ask for your vote on November 2nd. Send a real message and a real messenger to Washington, and let's make a difference. Thank you.
That's Greg Cowan. He's running for the 4th Congressional District seat here in the state of Missouri for the Constitution Party. You heard before, that was Mickey Harsler. She's the Republican candidate. Thank you both very much. Thanks.